Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. We were looking at functions in Python, and in this video we are going to look at some of the higher order functions which are map, filter and reduce. The map, filter and reduce functions brings a bit of functional programming, bit of functions brings a bit of functional programming to Python. These are known as higher order functions because they take functions as an argument. So let us look at the map, filter and reduce function one by one. So the first of all, what we are going to see is the map function. Now map function takes two arguments. One is the function itself and another is the sequence. So what it does is it applies the function on the sequence. So what it does, it apply this function on the sequence, right? So let us see this with the help of an example. Let us we want to calculate the area of a circle, right? So for that I will be importing the math module because the value of pi lies inside the math module, and I will be defining a function with the name say area, which takes one argument, that is the radii, right? And inside it what I'm going to do is I will be returning the value of the area, that is math dot pi multiplied by r square, that is this. So this is what I am returning, right? Now what I have a list of radii on which I actually want to calculate the area of, right? So I want to calculate the area of circles which are having these radii respectively, right? So one of the direct method of doing this is you can take an empty list with the name areas or whatever you want, and then for r in radii, that is in each iteration you will be picking one of the radius, sorry, and then you can apply the function, that is the area function, on r. Now in each iteration r will be taking the values from this particular list, right? And then what you can do is you can just append the value of a into the list name area, and you can actually print the name of the list. And if I run the code, you can see that calculating the area of the corresponding radii are actually printed on your screen. So this is the direct method, and you can see that it took a lot of code, right? It took a lot of code, right? So this thing can be simulated with the help of a map function, and what you can do is you can actually let us say a variable called area, and what we can do is use the map function. What it takes the first argument as the function name, so area is my function name, right? And the next argument which it takes the list, that is the radii or the sequence, right? And you can simply print the value of area, right? So if we run this particular code, you can see now what I got is the iterator over the result, but what we expected a list just like this. So in order to do that, what you can do is you can pass this thing, the complete map function, inside the list constructor, right? And if you now just clear the screen and run the code, you can see the both the the outputs are exactly the similar, right? And you can see the drastic reduction in the lines of code. Now that is the beauty of higher order functions, which are map functions, right? The next thing that we are going to study is the filter function. So let me just comment the above code and working on the filter function. What filter function does? So filter function actually filters out certain data based on certain functions, right? So this is also going to take two arguments. One is the function and another one is the list or the sequence. And what we are going to do over here is we will be filtering out certain data with the help of that function out of the sequence. So let us see how this works. So for this, let me just define a list, and the list should have let's say some negative numbers and some positive numbers, right? So a list is now a combination of certain positive numbers and certain negative numbers. This is the list. What I want to do is I want all the negative numbers. So let's say negative is a variable. And again, because this is going to return a object, so pass the filter function also inside the the list function, and here we will be writing a lambda expression which actually works as the functions only. We have studied that the anonymous functions are functions without any name, so they are only the functions. So I will be writing a lambda expression. What I want is one argument to get printed, and the condition is that argument should be less than 0. Right, so this is the lambda function, and next thing is my sequence, so I will be passing the list. Right, so it is not necessary every single time to take a user defined function in the map or the filter function. You can take lambda expressions as well. So if I run this code, you can see that the list with the negative numbers has been printed. If I just alter just the single sign, then the list with all the positive numbers will be printed. So that is the beauty of filter. So it's filtered out certain data because on the work, as per the working of the function. So that was something about the filter function. Right, the next thing that we are going to study is the reduce function, and in the previous versions of Python, reduce was also an inbuilt function, so we can use it directly. But from some certain higher versions, reduce is the part of the functool module, so we have to import it from there. So the first line with what we are using over here is from functools import reduce. So reduce is not actually available freely as other built-in functions. So what we did, we have to actually import it. So it is from from, right? So what is a reduce function? It is a really useful function for performing some computation on a list and returning the results. It applies a rolling computation to a sequence pair of values in a list, sequence pair of values in a list. Now, what do we mean by a sequence, pair value? We have seen a simple code which actually calculates the sum of elements inside a list, right? So we have seen this code several times. Now, what and how we calculate the sum of all the elements? First, we are going to add 1 and 2. The result will be 3. Right, now then 3 will be paired with the 3, that is the next element, the result will be 6. Now 6 will be paired with the next element, which is 4, and the result will be 10. Then 10 will be paired with the last element, which is 5, and the result will be 15. So now this is known as the sequence of pairs. So the first pair is 1 and 2, and then the next pair is the resultant of some operation on these two with the next one. Then again the resultant with the next one and with the next one. So reduce is actually going to work in this direction. So let me just first make a list, let's say list, and inside it let me take the same elements, right? And for making this thing, I will be defining a function. This is the traditional method, which let us say name as S, which is calculating the sum, and taking list as a parameter. Let us have a is equals to 0. Then we will having a for I in L, and what we are going to do is a is equals to a plus I, right? And outside this we will be printing the value of a, which is the sum, right? So see how many long lines did this code took, and again we have to call the function with the parameter. So these many lines are actually working in order to calculate the sum of these elements. Now let us do this with the help of reduce. So what I'm going to do is I will be directly using this print statement, and I will be writing a lambda expression inside the reduce function. Right, so the lambda expression will be something like this. I want to work on certain pairs, right? So I need two arguments. Let us say a comma b. Now these are my two arguments. What I want to do is I want to calculate the sum of a plus b. right? And the beauty of reduce is that it do not require any logic to do, the resultant will be added to the next number, then the resultant will be added to the next number. No for loop, nothing is to be required. And let us just run the code, and you can see that 15 is printed two times. The first is coming from this one and the second one is coming in just from one line. Now that is the beauty of reduce. So what it did, it actually applies this complete logic onto the list element in just a single line, right? So here in this video, we've seen some of the higher order functions in which we studied about the map function, which applies the function on a sequence, that is a list or a tuple. Then we look upon the filter function, which applies the function on the list and filters out certain elements based upon the function's logic. And then we studied about the reduce method or the reduce function, which actually computed the rolling computation of a sequence pair values inside a list. So that was all, and I hope that you enjoyed this lecture. And if you found this particular lecture a little bit informative, then don't forget to subscribe my channel and share the videos. Thank you.